Good day, everyone. I am Sailin Norian G. Pahayat, a fourth-year Bachelor of Elementary Education student from Lurs Husatan campus. And for today's presentation, I will be discussing an important approach in teaching called differentiated instruction. As future teachers, one important thing we need to understand is that our students do not all learn in exactly the same way. Some students may understand a lesson quickly, while others may need more explanation or practice. Some may be interested in certain topics, while others may learn better through activities, discussions, or visual materials. So the question is, how can teachers make sure that all learners have meaningful opportunities to learn? One answer is differentiated instruction. Today, we will look at what differentiated instruction means, its 4 classroom elements, the learner differences that teachers consider, and the steps teachers can follow when planning differentiated instruction.
These will be the learning objectives of our discussion for today.
According to Carol Ann Tomlinson and Marcia B. Imbo, differentiated instruction is a proactive teaching approach in which teachers intentionally plan and adjust instruction to accommodate the diverse learning needs of the students. In simple terms, differentiated instruction recognizes that all students can learn, but they may need different types of support, challenges, activities, or ways of demonstrating what they know. For example, imagine that a teacher is teaching a reading lesson. So the learning objective may be the same for everyone, but students may have different levels of readiness. One student may already be able to identify the main idea independently, while another student may need a graphic organizer or teacher guidance. Instead of expecting every learner to learn in exactly the same way, the teacher adjusts instruction according to their needs. This is the main idea behind differentiated instruction. It is not about lowering expectations for students. Instead, it is about providing appropriate pathways that will help learners reach the meaningful learning goals. Now that we understand the meaning of differentiated instruction, let's look at the 4 classroom elements that teachers can modify. These are content, process, product, and lastly, learning environment. So let's discuss each one. First is content. Content refers to what students are expected to learn and the instructional materials used to help them achieve the learning objectives. So when we talk about content, we are basically asking, what do my students need to learn and what materials will help them access that learning? So the second element is process. Process refers to how the students engage with and make sense of the content. Students can process information through the different activities. Now think about it this way. 2 students can learn the same concept, but they may reach understanding through different learning activities. That is why teachers need to consider not only what students learn, but also how they learn it. The third element is product. Product refers to how students demonstrate what they have learned after instruction. For instance, instead of requiring every learner to submit exactly the same type of output, the teacher may provide different ways for students to demonstrate their understanding. Students might magsulat og essay, mo-create sila og poster, or mo-create sila og isa ka video. And the important point is that the product should still allow the students to demonstrate the intended learning objective. So, differentiation does not mean allowing students to do anything they want. The teacher still needs to make sure that the output provides valid evidence of learning. The fourth element is the learning environment. This refers to the physical, emotional, and social conditions in the classroom that support the student learning. A supportive learning environment can help the students feel comfortable participating, asking questions, and working toward the learning goal. Therefore, differentiation can happen not only in the lesson itself, but also in the environment where learning takes place. So we have discussed the 4 classroom elements. But before teachers decide what to differentiate, they also need to understand who their learners are. This brings us to the next part. Teachers commonly consider 3 important learner characteristics, which are readiness, interest, and learning profile. So let's look at each one. First is readiness. Readiness refers to a student's existing level of knowledge, understanding, and skills related to a particular lesson or topic. Students enter the classroom with different levels of prior knowledge and abilities. Just like, before teaching a new reading skill, a teacher may discover that some students can already identify the main idea, while others still need guidance. Knowing this information allows the teacher to provide the appropriate level of support or challenge. So, readiness helps teachers answer, what can my students do right now? The second is interest. Interest involves the topics, activities, or experiences that attract the students' attention and encourage them to learn. So when lessons are connected to students' interests, students may become more engaged and participate more actively. The third is learning profile. A learning profile represents the individual ways and conditions through which students learn most effectively. This reminds us that students bring different experiences and strengths into the classroom. As teachers, we should therefore avoid assuming that one teaching method will work equally well for everyone. Now that we know what differentiated instruction is, its 4 classroom elements, and the learner characteristics teachers consider, the next question is, how can a teacher actually plan differentiated instruction? Well then, let's go through the 6 steps. Planning for differentiated instruction begins with understanding that students have different readiness levels, interests, and learning profiles. Teachers use this information to make purposeful decisions about what students will learn, how they will learn it, and how they will demonstrate their learning. The first step is to identify the learning objectives. So before differentiating instruction, the teacher needs to know what students should know, understand, or be able to do at the end of the lesson. Just like students will be able to identify the main idea and supporting details of a text, the objective serves as the destination. So the teacher can provide different pathways toward that destination, but the learning goal should remain clear. The second step is to know your learners. Teachers can gather information through observation, questioning, pre-assessments, student interest, previous performance, and other classroom assessments. For instance, a teacher may discover that some students can identify the main idea independently while others need teacher guidance. So this information becomes the basis for instructional decisions. Third step is to decide what to differentiate. The teacher determines whether to modify the content, the process, the product, and the learning environment. Just like for content, the teacher can provide text with different levels of complexity. For process, students can work independently with a partner or in a small group. And when we say product, the students can demonstrate their understanding through a written response, graphic organizer, or oral presentation. And for the learning environment, the teacher can provide a quiet workspace or area for students who need fewer distractions. The important thing is that these choices should be intentional and connected to learners' needs. The fourth step is to prepare varied learning activities. Activities should provide different pathways toward the same learning objective. So through these activities, they are different, but they are still connected to the same learning goal. So this is an important point. Differentiation is not simply giving the students easy or hard work. The activities should be meaningful and appropriately challenging. And we have the second to the last step, which is the flexible grouping. Students should not always remain in the same groups. The teachers can group the students based on their readiness, their interests, learning needs, or the purpose of the activity. Just like students who need additional support may temporarily work with a teacher while other students work independently or in groups. Then later, the groups can change depending on the next activity. This is why it is called flexible grouping. The groups are not permanent. They change according to the learning purpose and students' needs. And the final step is assess and adjust instruction. Assessment should be ongoing. Teachers can use students' responses, participation, activities, and assessment to determine whether the instruction is working. For example, imagine that after a short formative assessment, the teacher notices that several students still cannot identify supporting details. Should the teacher immediately move to a new topic? No, very good. Instead, the teacher should provide another guided activity or additional support before moving forward. This shows why assessment is very important in differentiated instruction. Because assessment is not only used to give grades, it also provides information that helps the teachers decide what to do next. At this point, let's review the key ideas. When we say differentiated instruction, it is a proactive approach to teaching that responds to the diverse needs of learners. Teachers can differentiate 4 classroom elements. We have content, process, product, and learning environment. And they also consider students' readiness, interest, and learning profile. And when planning differentiated instruction, teachers can identify learning objectives, know their learners, decide what to differentiate, prepare varied activities, use flexible grouping, and lastly, assess and adjust instruction. Ultimately, differentiated instruction reminds us that students may need different pathways to learning, but every learner deserves meaningful opportunities to reach the learning goal. So, as future teachers, our responsibility is not simply to teach the same lesson in the same way to everyone. Our responsibility is to understand our learners, make purposeful instruction choices, and create opportunities for every student to succeed. And that concludes my presentation on differentiated instruction. I hope this discussion has helped us understand that effective teaching is not about making every learner learn in exactly the same way. Instead, it is about recognizing differences, responding to learners' needs, and providing appropriate opportunities for all students to learn. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned something valuable from this presentation. Again, I am Celine Orian G. Pahayat. Thank you and have a great day.